The Queen Theory, a blog series published by Girls Chase, on the process of building a dating system of multiple women. The goals are to understand how to satisfy the needs of the woman so she is fulfilled within this setup, to know how to deal with the emotional issues that come with having multiple women, to learn the different types of structures that you can set up in this dating system. Part 1, The Queen Theory. In Part 1 of the Harem series, we talk about Queen Theory. How women position themselves as long-term partners and jockey for roles and status. Having created a constantly evolving harem for the past 3 years running multi-dating relationships, as well as having dated some of these women for 3+ years in this arrangement, it's time to share with you a series of articles that covers my experience and lessons learned. So if you've been considering such relationships, or you've been experimenting with them but have run into issues, this series is for you. We'll cover all the facets of dating several women at a time, i.e., any relationship non-monogamous in nature, and we'll go over what it takes to do so successfully and with minimal drama. To begin, we will cover the first of 3 biggest concerns in a woman's dating life. Those concerns are: 1. Catching and keeping the top man. 2. Her self-interest. 3. Her reputation. Women use the social and sexual marketplaces to advance their own agenda. Thus all these factors are important. The way to handle the first concern is to understand all the implications of Queen Theory, which is the focus of this article. A few months ago, I wound up in a threesome with one of my multiple long-term relationship, MLTR, girlfriends and her female friend. My girlfriend had an event one Sunday, to which she invited me and 2 of her girlfriends. I met her there and proceeded to grab drinks. Over the course of the event, one of her girlfriends took a liking to me, and I took a liking to her. I cleared my intention with my girlfriend before giving both girls a ride home, but instead of them going home, we ended up at my place. Long story short, one thing led to another and we started to get into a threesome. Everything was going perfectly. I was watching and playing with 2 sexy women while they played with each other. Eventually, after having our fun, we all fell asleep together, me in between these 2 sexy girls. In the morning around 5 a.m., I started to feel horny, and my girlfriend motioned me to play with her while the friend slept. I tried my best but just couldn't get hard. At that moment, I actually desired the other girl, not my girlfriend. Needless to say, I stopped trying after failing for a little while, then went back to sleep. An hour or so later, I started escalating on the friend, and my girlfriend went to the bathroom. I then started shagging the friend, but when my girlfriend got back, she was very annoyed. She said ahem, indicating for me to stop. Once the friend left a little later, my girlfriend and I didn't have sex. Instead, we spent the next hour going over what happened and my feelings for her and the friend. I was forced to handle some drama and her concerns that I didn't value my girlfriend sexually like I did the new girl. While I submitted to her frame, honestly, I probably shouldn't have. I gave her too much power there. I learned how important it is to understand Queen Theory. Queen Theory in a nutshell. Every woman who is dating a man in an emotional capacity wants to feel like she's the number 1 woman in his life. Always. No woman wants to share her man emotionally. Always. The number 1 slot. No woman wants to share you emotionally. Have you ever dated a girl you really like? She's probably super hot and exactly your type, you have great chemistry, great sex, and she's devoted to you. Hell yeah, what a great setup, and you're loving every moment of it. Suddenly you discover your girlfriend has some co-workers who are courting her, especially this one guy you know, Joe. One of your good friends. Joe is super chill and an all-around cool guy. Your girlfriend hangs out with him at work, and they dig each other. Joe approaches you and tells you he wants to bang your girlfriend. How would you feel about that? I think only the most outcome-independent and carefree man would agree to such a proposition. Because in total abundance, stuff like that really doesn't matter to you. However, the vast majority of men in the world would be furious and proceed to double down the intensity of sex with their woman to make sure she's well seated and won't run off with or get impregnated by another man. By the way, as a side note, I've met quite a few men who do share their women sexually, and I'm one of them. I've also dated their girlfriends over the years. It's a fun experience. But it's a great foray into the other side of the equation, how a woman safeguards her own assets by protecting her emotional involvement and investment in her man. The Queen Theory is quite simple. Really. Every woman wants to feel like she is a man's number 1 prize over other women. I will periodically refer to this as the Queen card. Because this is the essence of the frame, that a woman is a man's queen. Where men value sexual access to their woman and protect it from other men. Women value emotional access to their man and protect it from other women. This is why a woman sometimes won't care so much when her man cheats with one woman, just one time. But if it's an ongoing thing, like an affair, her security is threatened. A man's biological role in life is ultimately to spread his genes and cast a wide net while creating and providing enough resources to raise his children successfully. To ensure he's giving his resources only to his children and not some other man's, he disapproves of sharing his woman or women. A woman's biological role in life is ultimately to ensure her own survival and that of her genes by seeking out the man with the best genes and ensuring her children receive the strongest attention. To be successful human beings, ideally, the same man can provide both aspects, hence the alpha provider. Women ensure the provider aspect through emotional fidelity, that is, they will be extremely uncomfortable if a man splits his resources and attention between her and some other woman, and her children. This is why women care more about extended affairs. Think of the common adage behind every strong man, there is a strong woman. Historically, the most powerful men have had equally powerful and influential women in their lives. In queen theory, a woman safeguards her investment in a powerful man by keeping other women out of the emotional equation with him, allowing only herself that access, from which she can benefit and cast influence, managing the number one slot in different relationship styles. The queen in one-night stands and flings. Typically, the queen barrier does not exist for one-night stands and short, sexual flings, e.g., pure booty call arrangements. Because the queen position depends entirely on a woman's emotional commitment to a man. If that does not exist yet with a guy, she really won't care about being his number one. The drawback of one-night stands and flings is that they don't make a girl want to have that feeling of being somebody's number one. Women desire commitment from men, and once they've had their fun with quick sexual encounters, they've fulfilled the sexual side of desire, assuming a man gives her a fantastic experience. Meaning the commitment and emotional need will come out stronger. This can explain why you see a lot of women ending things with short-term partners around Valentine's Day. They're bombarded with visions of the queen status other women hold, being given flowers, chocolate, cards, jewelry, etc., and they envy those things. The queen in monogamy. In a truly monogamous relationship, the queen position is quite obvious. She's the center of the man's relationship world by default. And this is one of the reasons a woman pushes for commitment from a man, as a way of attaining security in her status relative to him. Once she has him in this setup, it's going to be difficult for him to exit the situation, and it will be easy for her to make sure he doesn't stray. Girls use all kinds of tools in monogamy to ensure they are a queen relative to their man. They also use social tools to ensure his commitment to her. I've seen women befriend other women in a social circle, and they use each other as eyes to ensure their boyfriends never cheat. And if a boyfriend does cheat or behave in a threatening way, the women will report it to each other. If a man violates the queen card in monogamy, a woman will be very, very upset with him. As I noted before, if a man has a purely sexual encounter with a new woman, his queen will be annoyed but will often dismiss it. Even if a high-profile celebrity's cheating becomes public, chances are his queen already knew about the discreet affairs. She'll be forced to be upset about it in public to save face, but she'll usually stay with her man. But if that same man has an emotional and involved affair with a new woman, his queen will be absolutely furious. This is why some of the messiest divorces result from male-initiated affairs. The male has divided his emotional investment in his queen. That will piss off and frighten any woman. The queen in semi-monogamous and one-sided setups. This form of relationship is quite common in the world. Simply put, a man commits himself to a woman on a public, social, emotional, and psychological level. But he continues to sleep with new women on the side, out of sight and out of mind. To be successful at this, a man must be emotionally detached from other women, but still know how to sleep with them. An example of this is Donald and Melania Trump. She's his queen in public and private life. Even though he's for sure spending time with other women behind the scenes, probably not so much now that he's president, however. Treat her like a queen at all times. And make your indiscretions discreet. The best way to manage this is through frequent travel. That way, it's very easy to maintain a girlfriend at home while engaging in encounters as a traveler, and it's much easier to fit the lover role. Just remember not to get emotionally involved with other women. We also have common forms of polyamory, where a man or a woman has a primary partner and a secondary partner, or more. In this setup, the primary occupies the queen slot with a man, where the secondaries have lesser relationships with him. Usually the secondaries have their own primary man granting them his queen slot. I've actually seen this setup work fairly well. Overall, In this context, a woman uses her secondary the same way a man does, for excitement and sexual/hedonistic pleasures, while she uses the primary for security and her emotional relationship needs. The queen in multi-dating setups. Now let's suppose your interest is not in monogamy or traveling monogamy, but instead in truly dating multiple women at the same time. This is, of course, the basis for my Harem series, to teach you how to do this. Understanding queen theory is of utmost importance for managing multi-dating properly. The queen in multiple long-term relationship setups. Understand that when you're running multiple long-term relationships, because each girlfriend is emotionally involved with you, the man, each girl views herself as the queen. If one of your girlfriends somehow discovers you are splitting your emotional energy between her and other women, her goal will become twofold. 1. Establish that hers is the number one queen role in the man's life, over his other girlfriends, and 2. Reduce or completely destroy the competition using her own social and sexual tools. Thus, if you want to maintain multiple long-term girlfriends, you must never let them meet each other. Do not allow your girlfriends to meet other girlfriends, ever. This is a hard rule. And you must maintain separation as a man no matter how much she pesters you about it or how much she confronts you about it. It's simply not a good idea to put two women who are emotionally involved with you in the same space. Both of them will always want to be your number one, and ultimately, even if they say they are friends, they are secretly arch-enemies. I've had some of my girlfriends come in the presence of other girlfriends. For example, two were simply in the same room once, and I was romantically distant to both. To this day, one of them continues to ask how I feel about the other, and she draws comparative statements to her. It's been 2 years since the event happened, and I expect the jealousy to persist from time to time with one of the girlfriends. Unfortunately, once you've set a frame with a woman, it's very hard to undo. Women hold on to emotional baggage and will use that frame to verify her own security. The queen versus established FBs. A girlfriend, queen, meeting an FB, fuck buddy, is generally okay and acceptable, and will not threaten queen status. But there are some caveats worth mentioning. The queen will want to meet your FBs and other girls only to see where they stand in your life relative to herself. Thus, when the queen meets your FBs, she has to feel like she's better than them. She wants to feel hotter, and more desirable, and like she is worth more to you emotionally. Keep in mind that when your FB meets the queen, she may also get scared and back off. If the FB had some interest in you emotionally, when she comes to know you are already occupied emotionally, her attraction for you will increase. But her deepest fears will come to the surface as well. If she's a passive feminine type, she will probably back off. If she's a more aggressive woman, she may try to challenge the queen position. Therefore, I highly suggest that you allow queens to meet FBs sparingly, if at all. Remember, the queen position is ultimately a tool of control, that is, the more information you give her about your dating life, and the women in it, the more she will use that information to control or influence how you see those women and how you feel about them versus her. Typically, if you really want them to meet each other, or know there will be a situation where they will meet, you should bring this up with the FB first. How I've done it is to simply say one of my friends will be at XYZ event on Sunday. I just wanted to let you know so there's no misunderstanding. FBs usually understand, especially if they are already aware of you dating other women, and most girls are pretty good at figuring this out on their own. One cool factor about queens and FBs meeting each other in your presence is that it could result in a threesome. In this case, it's up to the man to ultimately manage the queen status of the girlfriend and make her feel not threatened by the new girl. It's also important that he facilitates the threesome so that everyone experiences mutual desire. If things go well, just so it's clear, since we're covering all scenarios, two FBs meeting each other is also okay, and it could also end up in a threesome. In this case, the threesome is usually more erotic than intimate, since fewer emotions are involved. The queen versus threesomes. As I noted above, it's generally easy to have two FBs meet and create a threesome. It's also pretty straightforward to have a girlfriend and FB meet each other and create a threesome. The way to do both is to seed the idea with both women independently, as a fun, exploratory, and sexually free playground where nobody judges anything and nobody else will ever know about it, then bring them together in an environment suited to building comfort, and amp the escalation. A girlfriend meeting a new woman and creating a fun, new seduction threesome is also okay. Just as in the story I shared in the beginning, my girlfriend and I were having drinks with her friends, and one of them was interested. It's also possible for a girlfriend and her man to go out and pick up new women or men in the nightlife scene. The girlfriend will have to do some of the work there. You can also bring up a male-female-male threesome with girlfriends, if it's of interest to you. There are very few women who will say no to an MFM threesome, provided their reputations are kept safe and the encounter discreet. An FMF threesome is riskier because of the Queen card. Both women are sharing the man's emotional investment. And women don't like to do that. Anyway, I have shared girlfriends with trusted guy friends, and together we dominate girls. The Queen and swinging and orgy setups. Here is where it gets a little more complex. In short, it's fairly easy to bring other couples into your multiple relationship life. Surprisingly, a lot of my more open-minded friends and their girlfriends have been into this, and we have had occasions where we trade. It's fun and interesting. Like with threesomes. Always keep the Queen card in mind. Your woman will want to experience the most pleasure and attention from you, most likely. Don't make it seem like she's not your number one over another girl in the sexual picture. Some girls who are truly hedonistic do not really care, however, because they lose themselves in the moment. So it really depends. You must learn from experience. Concluding thoughts on Queen theory. Let's first summarize the rules that were mentioned. Never let two girlfriends meet each other, as this creates competition and jealousy between them. A multiple relationship girlfriend meeting an FB is okay and could result in a threesome. Two FBs meeting each other is also okay and could have the same result. A girlfriend meeting a new woman and creating a seduction threesome is also okay. With all these variables, the Queen status must still be maintained for the girlfriend. And now to recap the most important takeaways from Queen theory. What she values is different from what you value. So, men and women value different things in relationships. Men value sex and sexual fidelity in women. Women value commitment and emotional fidelity in men. It will almost always be this way due to biological programming. Men want to ensure their woman's offspring is theirs. And women want to ensure that a man will support and sustain her and their children. Women need to feel secure with their men. They need to feel protected. And they seek investment and test men to ensure they'll be there for her and the children they may create together. Thus a man's emotional commitment to a woman is hugely important. Always make a woman feel like she's number one. This is the crux of dating multiple people, and it's a bit like managing multiple important clients in a business. Ultimately, if you are running multiple long-term, non-monogamous relationships beyond friend with benefits level involvement, you must make each of your girlfriends feel like your number one girl when you are with them. Don't do things like text other women or think about other women when you are with a girlfriend. Keep your focus on her and her alone. I cannot stress this enough. I like to compartmentalize my relationships, which will be the subject of the series. Keep your friends close, and your enemies closer. This is the essence of the Queen's position. Be wary of requests from your girlfriends to meet and associate with other girlfriends, even if the stated reason sounds innocent enough. Here are some excuses I've heard just this year. I'd love to meet your other girlfriends to form a sisterhood with them, because it will help me feel at ease rather than not knowing. If I meet your other girlfriends, I will learn and know everything about them to come out on top in your view, while subtly seeding your demise in their eyes. I just want to meet her. Honest. I know you date other women. Why don't you just let me meet them so we can all enjoy each other's company rather than being in the dark? I want to know about your other women and your status with them, to see how much you truly value me. Why don't you ever talk about the other women you date? I thought in polyamory, everyone shares everything about each other. At least that's what I've heard and read. It's kind of annoying that I don't know about your life with other women, because I can't use it to assess your status with them. You should just tell me because it's the right thing to do. By respecting Queen theory, you will be able to have multiple relationships with multiple women simultaneously, with minimum drama. Unfortunately, a critical part of having several girlfriends is to keep them in the dark about your other adventures. This is where my own position is significantly different from what's advocated in the polyamory world. In that universe, a man or woman has a primary partner and secondary partners. Can you guess who is the queen in that type of situation? In that world, everyone is open. But all this does is enable the primary to maintain strict control over who the man is or is not intimate with. The woman gets to dictate the secondary role. And frankly, I think it's better to keep your relationships compartmentalized and separate. Anyway, I hope I've given you a good foray into Queen theory. If you're a guy who plans on seeing multiple women simultaneously, running one-sided monogamy, or engaging in threesomes, foursomes, and partner sharing/swapping, this is absolutely key to keep in mind. Always remember, never, ever, ever violate the Queen card. Next up, dealing with jealousy and discretion.